Why do you stand behind Lee County's decision to not have that mandatory evacuation until the day before the storm?
Well, where was your industry station when the storm hit? Were you guys in Lee County? No, you were in Tampa. So that's, they were following the weather track, and they had to make decisions based on that. But, 72 hours, they weren't even in the cone. 48 hours, they were on the periphery. So you got to make the decisions the best you can. I will say, they delivered the message to people. They had shelters open. Everybody had adequate opportunity to at least get to a shelter within the county. But, a lot of the residents did not want to do that. I think probably for various reasons. Some people just don't want to leave their home, period. They're island people, whatever. But I think part of it was so much attention was paid to Tampa that I think a lot of them probably thought that they wouldn't get the worst of it. So, but they did. And I think it's easy to second guess them, but they were ready for the whole time and made that call when there was justifiable to do so.
That was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis defending Lee County officials' decision to order a mandatory evacuation less than 24 hours before Hurricane Ian made landfall on the state and a day after several neighboring counties issued their orders. As of now, according to CNN, the death toll from the storm has reached 76, seems to still be rising, unfortunately. At least 35 of those fatalities were in Lee County itself. So I understand the thrust of that reporter's question is, why shouldn't there have been an evacuation earlier for that county? And then the governor saying, well, it didn't look like that county was necessarily going to get hit as bad as other places. These are decisions that officials are trying to make with as much accuracy as they possibly can have. And you don't want to order a mandatory evacuation unless it's absolutely necessary, because some people don't want to leave their homes. That can create, everybody trying to leave at once can create traffic jams or other problems. So it's really, it's a measure you only want to take if you absolutely have to. And he was defending what the county officials did. Although, so perhaps they should. It sounds like they should have ordered one earlier. But it is always kind of a second guessing thing, because it's tough to know exactly the right way to handle these things, although it does sound like maybe it should have been ordered earlier than that if its neighbors ordered earlier evacuations as well.
Yeah, I can't help but feel like the media desperately wanted DeSantis to fail. Because they really don't like him and go back and forth between calling him worse than Trump. And, they're sort of taking up this posture towards him that's very antagonistic. I'm not qualified to say exactly.
Death Santis, yes.
I just don't feel qualified to say whether he made the wrong call or not. I think that with Republicans, you're going to have people erring on the side of autonomy and giving people the right to make their own choices. And with liberals, you'll err on the side, Democrats erring on the side of, we're going to make that choice for you. And I don't think that there's enough information to say he made some huge error. I will say, like, his response to the reporter, he tends to do that, to get aggressive, right? Well, where were you people? You made the same mistake too, right? He's sort of giving, and you could imagine someone like Glenn Youngkin just being asked, like, did you make a mistake here? And just smiling and saying, no. And like moving on. And so I think that, you're going to increasingly see him in that sort of, antagonistic posture. But I do feel that to some extent that kind of, you're starting to see emerge between the media and DeSantis the same thing you had with Trump, which is, a kind of very symbiotic relationship where each side is getting a lot out of being antagonistic.
Well, here's more of what DeSantis had to say about the evacuation order.
Is that one of the things you'll be reviewing once we get out of the aftermath, people get their power back on, looking at those evacuation orders? Because even Lee County, if they would have followed their own evacuation orders from what we've reviewed, they should have had that mandatory evacuation order sooner.
Well, but, the issue, though, is also that there were a lot of, they informed people and most people did not want to do it. I mean, that's just the reality. So, you're in a situation, are you going to grab someone out of their home that doesn't want to? I don't think that's the appropriate use of government. I mean, I think that takes it a little too far.
Yeah, exactly as you just said, Bachip. really getting to the contrast between, how some Republicans and conservatives handle these kinds of public safety issues, and what is, I guess, now the progressive approach, which is not actually, like, these positions were not necessarily set in stone, but they are what we've arrived at because of the pandemic and because of some other things. And you're right, there's an autonomy and individuality, a libertarian, in fact, strain in conservatism, although a different kind of conservatism that was more, safety and security oriented. In the national security context, at least, conservatism for a while there was more about, kind of government enforcing its will, and for progressivism was about civil liberties and due process and individual rights. And now those things have solidified a little bit the other way. I did want to, before we go, well, I guess I should wait until she's here tomorrow, but I owe Brianna an apology because she said she mentioned that shark video in the hurricane. There was a shark swimming where it shouldn't, and I said that it was fake, that it had been debunked as fake, because those things always are. Lo and behold, according to the New York Times, it was real. They're never real. All these videos are always fake. In this case, it was an actual shark, swimming down the highway or the road or wherever it was. So I'll have to let Brianna know tomorrow. But while we were talking about the hurricane, wanted to make that admission. I got that one wrong. So we'll have more Rising in just a minute. Stay with us.